Throughout his life, Ernest Hemingway was obsessed with a single defining question. How does a person maintain their dignity when they have absolutely nothing left to lose? Santiago is an aging Cuban fisherman who embodies that struggle. He once went 87 days without catching a single fish. He is destitute. His clothes are patched with flour sacks and his hands are covered in deep, creased scars that Hemingway describes as being as old as erosions in a fishless desert. He isn't entirely alone. He shares a deep familial bond with a young apprentice named Manolin. But after 40 days of empty nets, Manolin's father forces the boy to leave Santiago's boat for a luckier crew. Santiago is stripped of his companion, left to face the ocean completely isolated. The younger, motorized fishermen treat the water as a masculine rival, a competitor they call El Mar. But Santiago thinks of the sea in Spanish as La Mar. To him, she is a woman, fickle and sometimes cruel, but ultimately someone he loves. Well before dawn on the 85th day, Santiago loads his small skiff. He decides to leave the safety of the coastal shallows and row out into the deep Gulf Stream, far beyond where the other fishermen are willing to go. He is risking everything on this voyage. It is a calculated, desperate attempt to break his unlucky streak, prove he is still a capable fisherman, and reclaim his standing in the world. Hours into his trip, hundreds of fathoms down in the dark water, something takes the bait. Santiago gently tests the tension on the heavy fishing line. The resistance is immense. Whatever is on the other end is massive, and immediately the dynamic flips. Santiago isn't pulling the fish to the surface. The fish is towing Santiago. The massive creature sets a steady course out to sea, dragging the heavy wooden skiff across the ocean surface hour after hour. With the line braced across his shoulders, the physical toll sets in. The cord slices into his back. The sun blinds him. He has barely any water, and if he lets go of the tension for even a second, the fish could snap the line and escape. He manages to catch a small bonito, slicing it into strips and forcing himself to chew the raw meat just to keep his body from collapsing under the strain. But his body starts to fail anyway. His left hand seizes into a rigid, agonizing claw. He stares at it in furious disappointment, verbally chastising his own muscles for betraying him in the middle of the fight. Out here, with no one to help him and his strength draining away, there is no room for human ego. Santiago is reduced to a single brutal task, enduring the pain longer than the animal below him. As the first day bleeds into the second and then the third, the isolation alters his mind. He talks aloud to a small, tired bird that lands on his boat. Eventually, he starts talking directly to the unseen fish, pulling him through the dark. He stops thinking of the catch as a commercial product to be sold at the market. Instead, he begins to respect the creature. They are bound together by the same heavy line, both exhausted, both starving, locked in a mutual test of will. He calls the fish his brother. Finally, the exhausted marlin breaks the surface and begins to circle the skiff. The animal is staggering in scale, 18 feet long, dwarfing Santiago's boat, its purple and silver scales reflecting the sun. As the massive fish makes one final close pass, Santiago stands. He summons whatever reserve of energy he has left, lifts his heavy wooden harpoon, and plunges the blade deep into the marlin's side. The fish thrashes wildly in the water, and then it dies. The catch is far too immense to pull inside the small skiff. Santiago has to pass a rope through its gills and lash the huge bleeding carcass alongside his wooden hull to begin the long journey home. He has achieved exactly what he set out to do. He proved his worth, but by lashing a massive bleeding animal to the side of a tiny boat in the deep ocean. His victory guarantees his ultimate downfall. The marlin's blood disperses into the Gulf Stream, creating a dark trail in the water. It doesn't take long for the ocean's apex scavengers to catch the scent. The sharks arrive. Santiago fights back violently. He kills the first shark, but loses his harpoon in the process. He lashes a knife to an oar and fights off the next wave until the blade snaps. He beats them with the wooden tiller until it splinters in his hands. It isn't enough. Wave after wave, the sharks tear into the marlin in the dark. By the time they finally leave him alone, there is absolutely no meat left. They have stripped his prize completely bare. He doesn't blame the ocean, simply saying, "I went out too far." He sails into the harbor alone, shoulders his mast, and walks home. Down by the water sits his skiff, tethered to the massive white skeleton. Santiago returns with no money, no prize, and his physical strength entirely spent. Yet, as he finally falls asleep in his shack, he dreams peacefully of young lions playing on the beaches of Africa. He has lost every material part of the battle, but his spirit is wholly intact. Hemingway's point is clear. A person can be utterly destroyed, but they do not have to be defeated.